One of the rarest guns of World War II is the Lisle Commando Carbine. What it is, essentially, is a suppressed Lee Enfield chambered for a pistol cartridge.
The development of Special Operations Forces during the Second World War would give rise to some fascinating innovations in firearms, one of which emerges as the Lisle carbine. And this carbine is unlike anything else that's used during the war because it takes the existing Enfield rifle design, it chambers the Enfield for, rather than .303, the 45 ACP cartridge. There were other prototypes in other calibers. They even tried a 9mm version, but they found that the 45 caliber version was more effective because the most important operational aspect of the Lisle is that it is a suppressed firearm. It's an integrally suppressed bolt-action rifle chambered for the 45 ACP cartridge.
The Lisle carbine is a clandestine arm. It was designed for use by the Special Operations Executive, which was the British equivalent of the U.S. Office of Strategic Services, the forerunner of today's CIA. And the idea behind the Lisle was they needed an arm that could operate quietly enough to be able to take out sentries or guard dogs and allow them to infiltrate positions. They were also used as assassination tools, at least in some instances, allegedly.
Well, they're made first by Dagenham and then later by Sterling. There's not even 200 of them ever made. And basically, the gun itself is a short magazine Lee Enfield Mark III Star. But its barrel's removed, you get a Thompson submachine gun barrel on it, and the barrel's ported from inside so that before the bullet leaves the barrel, these gases are collected within this silencer.
The British devised a quote commando carbine in the early 1940s that even by today's standards is considered one of the quietest guns of its type ever made. And this was the Lisle carbine. As its eponymous name denotes, it was devised by a man named Lisle, actually William Godfrey Lisle. He was born in South Africa, moved to England, and even as a kid he was fascinated with silencers.
The Lisle is a integrally suppressed bolt-action carbine. So this long tube, which on the prototypes was made out of steel, on the production models it was made from duralumin, an aluminum alloy. And inside of this aluminum tube were 13 baffles. And so the Thompson barrel was ported and is only measured 7 inches long. And so the bullet actually exited the Thompson barrel inside of this integral suppressor and traveled in between all of these baffles before exiting the false muzzle, really, on the end of the suppressor tube. It was incredibly quiet. There's some anecdotal evidence that this was fired in an urban area when it was being tested by the SOE to see if anybody noticed, and allegedly nobody could hear the sound of this going off.
They're used in combat in the European theater in 1944. They're then also shipped to the Far East, where they're used in Burma. And the firearm even sees some use in the aftermath of the Second World War, during fighting in Korea. There are even versions that are used in Vietnam. And the Lisle carbine, it holds an interesting distinction among World War II firearms in that they're very uncommon. You don't frequently see them. You'll see them in museums maybe, but that's not a firearm that was owned or could be owned easily by Americans back stateside in the military surplus market after the Second World War. Well, that's partly because of the fact that as a suppressed weapon, it's an NFA item, a National Firearms Act item, and therefore subject to all of the restrictions associated with the National Firearms Act. And because of that, you don't really see them back in the United States until about 20 years ago, one company made a reproduction of it. There are current excellent reproductions being made in Pennsylvania today. And they call our attention back to a time period when special operators needed something that could silence a sentry and could do so without alerting anyone else as to the military operations going on near them.